Okay, so this is a fun video because I'm going to talk about other streamer materials. The material I was previously using was this 2-inch wide. Again, it's called bird scare tape. It's mylar tape. Extremely tough, very, very nice for building streamers. And this is 2 inches. This fits into most of your rockets that are approximately 10 inches longer, 10 inches long, and a little bit longer. But for other rockets, you will have to determine what size streamer is going to fit. The length of the rocket determines how wide your streamer can be. So the longer your rocket is, the wider your streamer. And that's just a simple mechanical fit that we can look at. So that's why I use multiple materials. Now these materials are all a little bit different. I'd like to first take a look at this material, which is a 1-inch streamer material. This material is exactly the same as the previous material. So this is the same as this. The same manufacturer, and even different manufacturers make it very similar type of material. So this being 1 inch, this fits into the smaller rockets like the Honest Johns and rockets that are relatively short. Many times your rockets, let's say like around 10 inches or less, and this fits. Now to work with this, you can use the exact same type of mount. Basically use a toothpick on the end, and you might want to use a thinner Kevlar. I have that right here. So on the larger rockets, I like to use this thicker Kevlar, which is 1.3 millimeters. This is 300 pounds. Again, the strength doesn't really matter. We're not going to put 300 pounds of force on the streamer. But on the smaller rockets, you got a little bit less space inside. So many times I like to use this other Kevlar. This is 100 pound. And this is 0.8 of a millimeter, so it's extremely thin. It's almost like a thick dental floss. But this works out really well. So if you're going to have a small rocket, and I can show you one right here. A small rocket like this is going to have difficulty fitting a 2-inch streamer inside of it once you get past the nose cone shoulder and you need space for the wadding. But the 1-inch streamer will fit in here very, very nicely. And you can build the entire recovery system using this 100-pound Kevlar instead of the 300-pound Kevlar. This is the 1-inch material that I also use. I use both of these quite a bit, and these come in rolls of about 250 feet as well. Now, an alternate material to this 2-inch material is this material here. This is, I think they call it a party streamer tape. This is a textured surface. I got this at Hobby Lobby. That's the only place that I've been able to find this. And it's a slight bit thicker, and it's textured. So being thicker and textured, it's not going to wind as effectively. So whereas I can put a 25-foot streamer inside of a BT-50, with this I can fit only about a 15-foot streamer. But again, there's different effects. They sparkle differently. And with the texturing, I'm still evaluating whether or not the texturing provides better drag or not. It may or it may not, and I still have to evaluate that, because part of the drag effect on a streamer is really its fluttering, in which case length is a bonus. So the rough surface or the textured surface may be a disadvantage because we can't fit as much of this into the rocket. So again, I'll evaluate that, and when I do my evaluation, I'll post a video on that. But otherwise, it is very nice material. It winds quite effectively. It winds nice and tight. It's quite strong. And if you want to use it for different effects, it's a fun material to use. So I use both of these, both the 2-inch and this 2-inch. And I also use the 1-inch, which is nice material. When we get to the bigger rockets, I usually talk about my high flyers. I'll grab that. So here's my high flyer. I don't think it's even going to fit in the field. This is the High Flyer XL. It's got a body tube, a BT-60 I think that is, which is similar to the big Bertha, but it's got a 24mm engine mount. So this rocket with a 24mm engine, I can stick like E12s in it, very large engines. It goes extremely high. It's a very, very good flying rocket. The trick is I still have a streamer in this, and this streamer is wrapped inside of a blanket, as we've seen before. And we see there the streamer is snuggled in there. So you can see that even these very, very large rockets are can use very effective streamers. If this is extremely high, the last thing you want to do is have a parachute and have it float away. These rockets are a bit more expensive and time-consuming to build, and I want to get my rocket back. So that's why I like using the streamers. So in the high flyer, I use this other material, and this material is available from Amazon. Oh, by the way, this tape and this I get from Amazon. They're very easy to order. You can take your pick of the brand that you want. There's several of them. This material, again, Hobby Lobby, and the Kevlar is very easy to order from Amazon as well. 100 pound, and this is the 300 pound. Okay, so this material is kind of interesting. The only place I've found this so far is on Amazon. I think they call it wedding decoration or wedding streamers or something like that. This is a 4-inch material. So now, besides the 2-inch, you see this now gives us double the width. And this is what I put inside of that high flyer that we just looked at. So this material is a bit thicker. I'm not exactly how much thicker. I don't have something to measure. I don't have a micrometer that'll go that small. But in order to use this material, we do have to use a slightly different mounting technique. Whereas for the 1 and 2-inch, a toothpick makes a nice mount for the leading edge, like this. When it comes to a streamer this large, material this wide, obviously there's no toothpicks that wide, but again, going to Hobby Lobby saves the day. I use these things, which are, it says floral wooden picks. You can stick these into your flower pots to keep your plants straight or something like that. I bought these. There's many materials at Hobby Lobby that you can buy, and many materials you can use, and you can take your pick. But I found this works the best. So these particular picks, they got this little wire on it that you use to tie your plant up. I take this off, and you'll end up with a really nice, straight, very, very stiff, essentially giant toothpick. And this is what I use to tape onto the leading edge. So you cut the leading edge square, and again, put this in the middle, Kevlar cord in the middle, and put your tape folds on this, and you're all set. And again, you don't want to have too long of a tape, because if you wrap the entire streamer, you've now made a wrapper around the streamer that is not going to unbend. So you don't want the tape to go all the way around the streamer. I also use a 2-inch piece of tape, so 1 inch is here, 1 inch is on the other side, so it's just 1 inch. And except the difference is 2 inches wide. And again, I have found that I put up that high flyer on an E12, and it had a very, very high flight, and the streamer came down with no problem. This mount stays put. It's a very, very strong weight to mount, and it still is effective even with the 4-inch streamer. So again, this is a different type of material to give us a mount on the end. And we got this very, very nice wide streamer material for the big rockets. So you can see I fly this up to the 24mm rockets. So I'm flying rockets that usually mostly A and B engines with this type of thin Kevlar with maybe the 1 inch. The BT-50s, the 2-inch with the thicker Kevlar. And when we get up to the BT-60s with the 24mm engines, then we're usually using this type of material like this for the edge. Now there's one more streamer material that I experiment with, and this material I just recently purchased, and I'm using it for various things. This material is actually only a 1/2 inch wide, and what's interesting is it's a little bit thinner than this, just a little bit. So this just a tad bit thinner than this, so this will wind more effectively. So whereas this is a 25 foot inside of a BT-50, this is about a 35 foot. So you can put a long streamer in there. And I'm going to use this on the very smallest rockets that I have. So have this mounting with this. There's not going to be a toothpick in the end. It's just going to be a double layer of tape onto the 100-pound Kevlar, because you don't need a toothpick for something this small. But what's really nice about this is I'm going to use this in conjunction with parachutes. So when I fly rockets that do have parachutes, and I will fly my high flyer with a parachute, when the high flyer is up there 1,000 feet or so, you're not going to see the parachute. It's about 2 feet across. It's moving very, very slowly. So a tiny parachute, tiny with respect to what this is, that high, you're simply not going to see it. I've known people that have launched a rocket and they just looked in the air and said, where is it? And you can't see it. So this is going to be used to make what I call spotting streamers. So it's going to be using the very, very small rockets that I have as the primary streamer. But I'm also going to use this as a spotting streamer. And then we wind this into a streamer, put about maybe 20 feet with the parachute, so that when the parachute opens up, you see this fluttering streamer. So you can say, oh, there it is. I can see it up there. And this will allow you to see the rocket at a very great height. And again, I just got this at Amazon. Just recently started working with it, so I haven't put this together into a build with the parachute, but I will be doing that. I'll be talking about that. But if you take that material and you wind it up, you see this is what we get. It's it's this. So we get this very, very tight wind, and it's a little bit thinner, so we get a very long streamer. And this will help us spot the rocket, or we can use this for very, very small rockets. So again, that's what the other streamer materials are that I use. And you can take your pick what you want to use for your particular build. Again, the smaller, thinner Kevlar for the smaller rockets. The thicker Kevlar, 300 pound, I use this for everything, for BT-50s and for everything above. It's about the right size. There's toothpicks. There's these floral wooden picks. We've got sizes 4 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches, different materials. All kinds of stuff. So that's what's fun about this, using streamers, is that there's plenty of materials to choose from, plenty of things to experiment with. And you can see that adding things like spoilers will give them different effects. And there's all kinds of fun things you can do. So have fun. These are all the different things that I use when I build streamers. And again, I like using streamers for everything from the very tiny rockets that are like the 13 millimeter T engines, all the way up to the 24 millimeter E12s, and flying the big stuff. So have fun. It's a great technology, and this is to give people something to do in model rocketry that's very inexpensive. It's cheap. It's fun to play with, and it gives you some interesting things to experiment with if you like experimenting. Okay, so that's it for this particular set of stuff, and I'm going to be doing some more videos on some of the equations. For example, if I have a BT-50, I know that's 0.098 of an inch in diameter, and I have this type of streamer material. Okay, what is the maximum length streamer that I can put into it? If I put that streamer into a certain length, how much is the surface area going to be? So there's certain calculations you can do to give yourself a pretty good understanding of how your streamer is going to perform before you build it, and that will help you pick the material that you want to use. Okay.